this is Derek Murphy from creativity.com. Today I want to talk about advertising your book because it's kind of a complicated subject and there's a lot of ways to do it wrong. What you don't want to do is just go up to Google and type in book marketing or book advertising, because what you're going to find are a lot of sites that offer book marketing services or advertising services on their site, but they don't necessarily have the type of readers that want to buy your book. And that's a problem because if you're just looking around, you might be on a lot of other maybe author blogs or book marketing blogs, and you'll see put your book here in the sidebar, and you have to judge whether or not that's going to be a good value for your money. And so before you make any decisions, here's a tool called SimilarWeb, which is kind of nice because it'll tell you about the average traffic. This is one of my sites, and I can see the traffic has gone way down from 80,000 down to about 20,000 because I stopped promoting it. But also that people spend about 3 minutes on my site, which means they're actually reading stuff. And it's still 20K a month, which is better than what you would see. I don't offer advertising here, but let's look at here in blog metrics. I'm looking at this because I have a novel I'm finishing that's kind of a romance, paranormal romance, and I want to do a really big launch, which means I want to be everywhere. And so I can do a lot of guest posts if I arrange an author interview or a review of my book or something on those sites. But those usually have to be arranged a couple months in advance. And with advertising, a lot of those sites, maybe they have a lot of traffic, but they aren't really making money yet. So they may not cost very much to put my book on the sidebar, and it might get a lot of views. And this site that I found is kind of nice because it lists a lot of different romance blogs, but a lot of these are older, and it gives a score. So I found a few on here that are okay, but actually the monthly visitors, they're really not that much at all, and so it's probably not worth paying for a month of advertising if you're only getting a few thousand visitors. But I found some other sites just searching for, instead of searching for book advertising, you want to search basically for the thing that your readers would search for. So maybe they're looking for paranormal romance. So maybe they're looking for paranormal romance book reviews. And if they type in paranormal romance book reviews, they'll find the types of blogs that are giving reviews, or it might just be blogs that talk a lot about paranormal romance books. Here's a couple Goodreads groups, so I'd want to get in there. Here's Heroes and Heartbreakers. That's a pretty big blog. And I just find the main site.
What are you talking
And then when I have the main site, I'll just put it in here, and I'll be able to see how much traffic they get.
I'm gonna try to take this seat out. I should be able to do that.
So Here's and Heartbreakers gets 150K a month, so that's a lot of visitors, it's a lot of traffic. They only stay for about a minute, but that's alright. A minute's better than less. And it's been going down in traffic quite a bit. I think they made a big change a couple months ago with Google, so a lot of sites are losing a lot of traffic. But then if I saw, okay, this site gets a lot of traffic, maybe I'll want to advertise. I can go in here and see if there's any opportunities to advertise. There may not be. But usually on the sidebar they'll say, do you want to put your book here? Do you want to advertise? Sometimes if you scroll down to the bottom down here, they'll have advertise with us. And I can see their prices. That's $500 for a week. So that's pretty expensive, but they get a lot of traffic. And it's the right kind of readers because the people who come here probably use the community a lot. It's probably readers who really like heartbreak, romance. I'd want to look through here and make sure that the books they're featuring are similar to my books. These might be more traditional romance, like this cover is pretty traditional, and my young adult paranormal romance might not fit here. It might be older readers that won't really like my young adult. So I want to keep that in mind. But sometimes paying one week 500, that would be about I don't know, 25,000 people. So it'd be $500 for 25,000 hits, which is not too bad. I tend to prefer Facebook advertising, but that's only because it depends what kind of advertising you're doing. If you're doing real advertising like buy my book, then you'll probably want to pay for it so it's there. I like using Facebook because I can run kind of more interesting campaigns. So I can say like get a free poster, and then a lot of people will share it and comment on it and link to it. And if people are interacting with your content, Facebook won't charge you for the advertising. So maybe I'll put in a $500 budget and it says I only reach 5,000 people, but actually because people are liking and commenting on it, Facebook stops charging me and it might reach 25,000. But you'll kind of want to see how much you're willing to spend per interaction. The other thing is if you're advertising this way, I'll take another site. This site is another romance book reviews. Their traffic's gone down. They get 65K a month, but a little bit more stickiness. People stay a little longer. But the thing about advertising on these kind of sites is if I put my book here on the sidebar somewhere, there's no guarantee of actual clicks. So they'll let you put a book cover or something, but they'll charge you no matter what just for showing it. So you may not get any clicks. So that means nobody's buying your book, but you're still paying the same amount of money. Whereas if you use Facebook or Google advertisements or maybe blog ads, then you're paying per click. So you can put it up, and if nobody clicks on it, you're not paying for it. Facebook will just keep showing it until people click on it. So they'll show it a lot until you get some clicks. But if they have to work really hard, the clicks will be more expensive and they'll end up paying more. Blog ads is okay to find some blogs that allow you to put ads on the sidebar, but you do want to make sure, if you can, verify their traffic numbers, because they might say something like, we average 60K a month, but traffic's gone down a lot in the last 2 months, so maybe now it's a lot lower. This site again is similarweb.com. I don't know if it'll always be free, but it seems like it's free to use right now and there's no limitations, so I've been using it. There's another one that's Mexi Books. So you just want to do a little research. Just because someone says you can put your book on their sidebar, it doesn't mean it's going to sell any books, especially if you don't have a great book cover anyway. You could advertise for a month and pay a lot of money and not get any clicks. Mexi Books has 30K and the traffic's actually gone up a little bit, but people only spend about 43 seconds on the site, which isn't a huge red flag, but it probably means they're not spending a lot of time looking over all these things. They might just have found one book review or something, so they came and they saw the thing and then they left after they read it. So that matters a little bit. This is the romance reviews. That one got a big hit in traffic after March 15th. So they're getting about 8K now. But people stay for 4 minutes, which is a really long time. So even though they're getting much fewer visitors, it might be a much more engaged audience who spends more time on the site. And the thing about these, like, there's I might look for some opportunities to buy advertising if I can, but most of these sites also take reviews. If you have a nice book cover and a nice book, you've got a chance of getting a review if you give them enough time. And there's probably other ways you can, here's Dear Author, there's probably other ways you can get seen by maybe offering a guest post. A lot of them will take guest posts. There you go. So if you plan it right, I've planned about, for my book launch, I've got about 25 article titles because my book is kind of about mermaids. So I'll do stuff like, are mermaids real? I might make a video about it. How to spot a mermaid. Do you have mermaid special powers? 9 things that sucks about being a mermaid. Things like that. They're kind of fun, and I can put on a lot of different sites. I can put them on mermaid sites. I can put them on paranormal romance sites. I want to put them on sites that have the right type of readers. Like I could put it on Cracked or Mashable, but those are more tech readers. They probably won't like my young adult mermaid romance. So you want to find sites that'll take your content, but if you can write good content and write a fun or interesting or informative article, you can usually submit it to sites and get them to post it. So I'll have 25 of those, and those don't cost anything. You just have to spend the time writing, and I'll try to put those on big sites around the internet that get traffic and link back to my book launch. But I'll also advertise probably pretty heavily, because on Amazon you don't want to advertise like $10 or $20 a day, because you'll only sell, like if you do it long term you might just break even, but every time you make a sale your page rank goes up, or sorry, goes down. So like if I spend $20 a day, maybe I'll get up to the 10,000 range, but I'm still not very visible. People aren't finding my book organically on Amazon. But if I spend $100 a day, I'll get up to that number 1 slot. Once you're in the number 1 slot, you can't really go higher. So as long as you're in the number 1 slot of your category, you don't really have to spend more. But if you're trying to get into a higher category, like paranormal romance, urban fantasy, mermaids might not have that much competition, but romance has a huge amount of competition. I'd have to sell a ton of books in a short period of space to get number 1 in the category. But if I get number 1 in that category, it will also sell a lot more books because people will see it more. So when I launch a book, I'll advertise, I'll spend money, but only during the first week, and probably only for a couple days, because I want all the sales to happen on the same day or two so that my book will stay really sticky on the top of the bestseller list. But all that other content I have, advertisements, they only last a month. I'd really prefer to write articles because they're kind of evergreen. If you write good articles on good sites, they may bring in natural traffic for another year or two. So your book will kind of always be selling, and they're free. And so that's what I would concentrate on doing. You have to find sites that are willing to take your guest posts. And again, I'd want to check their traffic and make sure that it's really worth the time. But here's Dear Author, and they get 110. That's this one. They mostly do book reviews. They do essays. This is a first sale essay. But they have a lot of stuff going on. It seems like they get a lot of traffic and a lot of engagements. So I could offer them a really interesting article that would be good for their audience, that would help their readers. It doesn't have to be exactly about the book. I could talk about book marketing. Once I do my launch, I'll put out some articles about how well my launch did. Like I want to have 100,000 downloads on my free Kindle days. And to do that, I'm going to make a really big effort. I'll probably go to some conferences. There's a lot of stuff that can go into a book launch, but you basically, most of your power will be online, and you want your platform to be as wide and deep as possible. So you want you to show up on a lot of sites where your readers hang out, so they see you kind of all over the place. And I'll also advertise on Facebook a lot during my launch, because Facebook is probably the best for extremely targeted advertisements. So for example, my mermaid book is, there's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition in paranormal romance, but there's not that many mermaid books, and my book's kind of Ireland history stuff. So I can take a couple of best-selling books in my field, and I can find the people who like those books on Facebook, or I can just find the people who like paranormal romance in general, and I can target my ads to just show to those people, and I can even set a certain area or a certain age group. So I can get very, very specific with my targeting, and I would do that a lot on Facebook, because even if they might find you somewhere else, through one of your articles. Facebook means you're getting in front of them. You're getting right in front of them. I think I can also do that on Twitter now. You can target very selectively. So I might run a big advertising campaign. But the other thing about advertising is it's much harder to do if you're just selling something. Advertising is much more successful. For example, my first book, I don't plan it to make a lot of money, but I want it to establish my credibility as an author and build my email list. So for my first book, when I do advertising, really it's not about the return on investment. I might spend $1,000 in advertising and get $5,000 to sign up to my list, or to review my books, or to get some free posters or some free giveaway stuff. I'll be driving sign-ups so that when I have other books, it'll be so much easier to launch or promote or sell quickly, because I'll have a reader base who are already interested in me and in what I'm writing about. Anyway, this is kind of a long video, but what I was trying to say is just use a tool to see how much traffic they're getting, so that you can really calculate about how much engagement you're going to see for your money. And then also make sure you get something well designed, because advertisements that use a bad cover or aren't well designed, those won't be very successful.